everyone, welcome back to the Cozy Soul Knitting Podcast. I'm Saoirse, aka the Cozy Soul, and this is episode 3 of my knitting podcast. I'm a little out of breath because I was running up and down the stairs trying to get all of my stuff together to film this, and also there's a window right here and the sun was just whoosh. So if you can see kind of like, you know, where is it, like right here, there's like, you know, the sun coming through, so I hope that's okay. I tried to open the blinds and then it was like way crazy, so I opened the blinds on a different window where it's a little not as bright, but like hopefully bright enough for us to do this. I will have to see how it goes when I edit this, but hopefully it's okay. Also, I'm filming on the camera that I vlog on because it can like do better in lower light. And the reason that I'm in a different location right now is because so I kind of have like an update, I guess like a little bit of a life update, so please bear with me. I just felt like I needed to say this. So the reason I'm in a different location, I'm actually at my parents' beach house right now, and I'm in the guest room, which is also my mom's craft room. So I brought my Swift, my ball winder, and yeah, but this is like a little craft table she has. And she does a lot of sewing in here, but see, I thought it was fitting to film the podcast in this room. So the reason that I'm down here though is because, and I don't know, I debated whether or not I should even like mention this because I don't know, I feel like I'm the type of person who just likes to kind of process things on their own and not like talk too much about it. I'm sorry, I'm like so sweaty too, this is making it worse. So one of my dogs, we actually had to let her go, I think it was like a little over a week ago now, and that has been really, really hard, obviously, and I didn't want my other dog to not be around her full family because she wasn't, you know, not doing very well. She was really depressed and sad and you know, just confused, kind of like looking around for her friend, trying to see where her friend went, and yeah, it's been really hard. So I wanted to just address kind of why I'm not filming in the same location, and also, I don't know, some people on the internet are very astute and I feel like can just pick up on when people, you know, random strangers are not feeling their best and all of that. So if anyone was like, wow, you seem kind of down or something, I just wanted to say that. But knitting has been like a lifesaver. I feel like anytime I needed to escape for a while, I could just put on a show and knit, and it just felt like that was about all I could do was knit. So but my dog that we had to let go, she had a very full life. She was a very happy dog her whole life. She was so loved, and you know, it was a hard time. So I'm trying to remember that, you know, she was in a lot of pain, so we did the right thing. But yeah, it's definitely hard. And I feel like with the finished objects that I have, I'll always think of her because I was working on them while I was sitting with her and giving her a lot of snuggles at the end there. So not at the very end, I was not like knitting at the vet, that would be weird. I meant like, see, and I don't know, I was like, don't bring this up because you're gonna be awkward and people are gonna feel like you're super weird, and yeah, I just meant like in her final days, we just sat on the couch and snuggled and I was knitting to try to keep my mind off of things. Anyways, so I always think of her when I see these finished, or well, at least the first 2 finished objects, and I feel like that's nice. I don't know, it's comforting in a weird way. So anyways, so I just, anytime I'm talking about uncomfortable things, I feel so awkward, and I like do the awkward laugh thing, and yeah, so don't get confused if I'm laughing or something, because it's like, anyways, I'm gonna awkwardly segue into my finished objects. Apologies for this being the weirdest intro, and if I made you sad, I'm sorry. So I'm hoping that talking about knitting will cheer us up a little bit more. I also lost my knitting mojo last night, which is unrelated, but I'll talk about that when we get done with the FOs. So first finished object. Whew. So I finished my classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. This is the second one that I have made, and this one turned out so much better. So if you watched my last podcast, or I think it was the first podcast, yeah, I was knitting that, or I had finished that, I think in my first podcast. It was one of my FOs, and it was too small, like way too small. I knit the adult small because I had heard that it ran kind of large, I guess, like people would knit the adult small and be like, this is too big. And I had the opposite problem. I don't know, I've realized since my last podcast, I had this revelation that I may not have accurately gauge swatched these. I don't think I had the best grasp on how to actually do a gauge swatch. I think I was thinking that, like, I didn't count stitches in my gauge swatch. I would just sort of like take out the measuring tape. If it was about 4 inches, then I was like, cool, I hit gauge. But counting stitches is like more accurate, it feels like, so I might have not accurately or as accurately gauge swatched, so that could be why my other hat did not turn out well, and why this one, I mean, this one still, it turned out well, and it's actually like the perfect size, but I have a feeling that if I tried to, like, if I had different yarn, I would maybe be able to knit the adult small. This one is a worsted weight yarn. By the way, it is the Lion brand Phantom's Choice yarn in Oatmeal is the colorway, and it's a worsted weight yarn, so the pattern calls for DK, so I think I also went up a size needles, and yeah, and so I knit the adult medium because I was worried that it was going to be too small, and I think that that was the perfect thing to do because it is, it fits really well actually. It was a little too tight the first 2 times that I wore it, I felt like, and then after that it felt like it sort of, I don't know, stretched out a little bit. So I'm gonna hope that this doesn't completely wipe the makeup off of my forehead, but it fits and I like it. This feels weird because now my ears are covered I'm talking, but it feels not the best on my head. It feels a little itchy because it's acrylic. So I will not be knitting with acrylic. No, I will not be purchasing any more acrylic yarn. However, I'm about to be a hypocrite in the acquisition section of this podcast because I did purchase more acrylic yarn, but going forward, I will not be anymore. And I'll get into why I sort of made a little exception and bought more acrylic yarn, but yeah, going forward, I don't like how it feels while I'm knitting it. I don't like how it feels wearing it. I don't want to completely demonize acrylic yarn because I think that, you know, especially when it comes to like environmental stuff, it's really easy to be like, well, yeah, that's obviously not a sustainable product, but I feel like we leave out the other side of it, which is like, you know, not everybody has money to buy really expensive natural fibers, and I know that there are natural fibers that you can get that are more wallet friendly, but I mean, I would say they're not as accessible, and so someone who is a beginner going into a Michael's or Joann's or like, you know, one of those bigger chain craft stores and going for something inexpensive because they're just starting out, or it's because it's, you know, it's what they can afford, like, I don't think that we should leave that out of the conversation, I guess. And so I don't want to completely demonize acrylic yarn because I think it has a place, a purpose, but yeah, it's just sort of a thing where you kind of have to weigh it, and if I don't enjoy working with it, there's really no point in continuing to purchase it. I do like how this turned out though. It kind of turned out perfect. I did mess up a couple times on the decreases, like on the crown, but you can't tell. And this time I know what I did wrong, whereas like the first time I knitted this, I didn't know what I did wrong, but I didn't end up with the right amount of stitches at the end, so I was like, where did I mess up? Where did I go wrong? But it didn't, I couldn't figure it out, and then this time around I like know exactly what I did, and so I just wasn't paying attention. I was watching TV and I kept decreasing on one of the rows where there weren't supposed to be any decreases, but it's fine. It all worked out, and it looks fine, and also I feel like with this yarn you can't really tell that there are any mistakes because it is kind of a fuzzier yarn, I guess. This is my first FO. I'm trying to think, do I need to say anything else about it? I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't block it. I don't know if I should have done that. I just didn't. I don't know. I was kind of like, it doesn't matter because it's acrylic. It's not. I don't know if I'm completely wrong on this, but I feel like acrylic doesn't block. Like, I mean, not that it doesn't. It's just like it doesn't bloom or anything, at least from what I have seen. And so I don't know. I just didn't bother with that, but maybe I should have. It's whatever. So, but this hat I will always cherish because I made it with, you know, my two dogs sitting right next to me. It was kind of one of the last times that we got to sit down together and snuggle on the couch, and they loved their couch time together, just like sitting next to each other, sitting on opposite sides of whatever human was sitting with them, and just enjoying each other's company and snuggling, and yeah, so I'll always get to kind of remember that last little time that we had together to snuggle. So that's my first FO, and this is the only FO that I'm happy with and how it turned out. So we're about to talk about some FOs that I am not super happy with, but also on the other hand, I finished them, so I'm happy about that, so it's fine. So this next FO is actually kind of exciting. Like, I feel like I have a tendency to do this. I need to celebrate the win here. I need to celebrate that I finished a sweater. That's right, I finished a sweater. I've been wanting to knit sweaters literally since I first learned about knitting. I wanted to knit sweaters, and I never did because I was always too nervous, and now I finally have. So I'm gonna celebrate that. That is really, really cool. This is my novice sweater by PetiteKnit. It's a little wet. I was walking it overnight, and it felt dry when I first picked it up and brought it up here, and now that I'm feeling it now, it is still pretty damp, but it's fine. We'll put it back. I didn't pin it because as we're gonna talk about, I don't care about the sweater. I'm probably not ever gonna wear it. I will put it on for you guys to see what it looks like on. But yeah, so I don't need to pin it if I'm not gonna wear it. And I didn't even know where I would pin it, to be completely honest. It looked like I put it out on the blocking mat and I was like, this looks like the right shape. Like, so I just didn't pin it. But this is I said this already, but it's the PetiteKnit Novice Sweater. I knitted this in Line Brand Wool Ease in the colorway Stillwater. And as you can tell, I do like this color. Not exactly the same, but I do really like this color. I have a lot of jackets that are this shade. So I thought, you know, it would be fitting for my first sweater to be the same color, or same-ish. However, it's getting kind of dark here, so I hope that the lighting is still okay for the video, but oh my gosh, I used the Wool Ease yarn because I didn't want to spend a ton of money on yarn for my first sweater and have it not turn out well. However, the reason that it didn't turn out well, I feel like it's because of the yarn. So it's kind of a little catch-22 thing, which is kind of frustrating because I'm like, that was the whole point, was like, I didn't want to mess up really nice yarn. But I'm not gonna wear this. It feels so itchy on my skin. Even just putting it up to my neck just now, I was like, ugh, like I don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of turtlenecks. I think I've said this before, but I don't like things up on my neck. I kind of feel like, ugh, like I was never really able to wear chokers, you know, back in the 90s and 2000s, you know, where it was like cool to have a choker. I could never do it. Like, it would just like, ugh, I just felt like it was like choking me. I couldn't breathe. And so I don't like turtlenecks. But this is like the only sweater that I felt like I could use for my first sweater. I don't know, it just seemed like it was the right one to do for beginner one because there was all the videos. I feel like the pattern definitely really walks you through things. So I just felt like it was the right move to make. And I don't regret knitting this at all, but I just, yeah, there's a ton of things that make it so I'm not gonna wear it, basically. The first one being the turtleneck. I know I could like fold it somehow. I don't know how, but I know that that is a thing that people do, so I could do that. It's the yarn is the biggest issue. It's how it like drapes, I guess. I don't know how else to, sorry, I'm listening out for my parents because I feel awkward like filming, so I was gonna like, if I heard them come home, I was gonna pause and go tell them to like not come upstairs so they wouldn't hear me talking. But yeah, so I feel like it's just how it drapes. Like it just, I don't even know if draping is the right word, but it just doesn't sit well on my body. Like I just don't like how it looks, I guess. I can't really put my finger on it other than like how it kind of falls on me. The other thing that maybe you will notice or won't notice is that I did a half twisted rib on the neck and on the sleeves, but not on the body, because I was like halfway through the ribbing on the body and then I was like, oh, oops, I did not do this the same way. And I did not feel like going back and trying to fix that. And then I did one sleeve the right way, and then when I was starting my second sleeve, it was kind of late and I was tired and I didn't do the twisted or the half twisted rib on the sleeve. So I was like, that's gonna look really funny if the sleeves don't match. So I ripped it back, which is my first time ever ripping back my knitting. It was terrifying, and I did it, I swear I did it right, but then somehow I still had, and you can't see it, I don't even know which sleeve it is. You can't see it, but I somehow dropped stitches. And then when I was weaving in the ends, I noticed that I had dropped stitches, so I just sort of wove the ends through the where I had dropped the stitch so that it couldn't fall out, and called it good, because I was like, at that point I was like, I'm just done. I'm done with this, but I can't even find it now. So I don't know what happened, but I ripped back the cuff of the sleeve that I had done, and then I didn't quite do it properly, and so I had to rip it back even more. And so that was an experience, but I'm actually glad that that happened, because now I feel more confident ripping back stitches. Like it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I was like so terrified that I was going to ruin the whole sweater, but I salvaged it, so it was fine. And you can't tell, like you really can't tell, or at least, sorry, I'm listening out for my parents. I can't tell, at the very least, that there was any mistake. I don't even know which sleeve it was on, although I am noticing one of my sleeves is way shorter than the other one, and I don't know why. I have no idea how that happened, but like the cuff is a totally different length. Oh my goodness, I don't know what happened. I swear they were the same size when I bound off, but I don't know. I don't know what I did. What else do I want to say about this? Again, another reason I will not be using acrylic anymore. This feels so icky, and I know that there's some wool in it, and so I was thinking like, is that why it feels scratchy to me? But the other acrylic feels scratchy to me, so I feel like it is mostly the acrylic. And also I'm assuming that the wool that they use is probably not the best quality. Like, I don't know. I don't want to completely shade Line brand as a brand. I don't know anything about them. But, you know, I'm just kind of assuming that if they sell it at a Michael's, it's not the best quality. I'm just going out on a limb. I don't want to act like superior or anything. It just feels like it would probably, you know, it's like mass produced, probably not the best quality, you know? The other thing I want to mention is that the kind of the little sort of subtle pattern that is on the yoke, it's made by the way that the increases are done. And on mine, I feel like it looks unintentional, whereas on the Petite Knits, like pictures and stuff, it looks like it's an intentional design, whereas yeah, on mine I just feel like it's almost like looks like I messed up a bunch. But also from far away, it looks better than up close. So I don't know. I feel like it's probably okay. My mom was eyeing this sweater, so at the very least, if I'm not gonna wear it, she might, if it fits her. I don't know if it will. We're not the same size, but I feel like I made it large enough that it should fit her. It might be more fitted on her, or it could be more oversized. I feel like we just have very different proportions, I feel like, so it's hard to tell sometimes. But yeah, so I don't know. It's very scratchy and it's very damp still, so I'm gonna put it down because it feels gross. So it was a little bit of a bummer that it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And I don't know, but again, I was kind of prepared for it to like not be something that I would end up wearing a whole lot, just because, you know, I knew that the yarn, like as soon as I got the yarn in person, I was like, I don't like the feel of this. So yeah, but I don't know, now I feel like I can kind of do anything now. Like I've knit a sweater, so now I'm like, I can learn the other things that are required to knit other types of sweaters. So I feel like accomplished, and I want to celebrate the fact that I knit a sweater, because that's something that I've been wanting to do forever. And I think that's contributing to me sort of losing my knitting mojo. I just, like today I woke up this morning and it was like the first morning in such a long time where I didn't immediately think like, okay, can I start knitting now? Like, do I need to do anything else? Like, let me go find one of my whips, start knitting on. Like I was like, this morning I was like, I don't want to knit today. And previously I was like, oh, losing your knitting mojo, like that's never gonna happen to me. I love knitting too much. Like I want to knit all the time. But it happened. And I think this is the project that really kind of pushed it over the edge for me. I knit this in one day yesterday. I knitted it yesterday. It did not take long. It was probably, I don't know, because I took breaks and stuff, so it was not a long project at all. This is, what is the pattern called? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to put on the screen because I kept like mixing it up with something else, but I think it's the Downtown Crossing pattern, and I think it's by like Polka Dot Sheep or something. Again, I'll put it on the screen. I don't remember like any of the details on this, but this is the Downtown Crossing hat. I was going to put a poof on it, but I don't have one of those like faux fur poofs. I don't have one though, so I did not do that, and I'm not going to, because I don't like this hat. I do not like how this turned out. I hope I'm not being super negative, but it's too big. I've learned a valuable lesson that I think most hats, I could be wrong, but I think most hats are supposed to have some negative ease so that they actually like stay on your head. This one, if I like turned my head too much, like if I tipped my head over, it would fall off for sure. I don't like this style of hats, I have discovered. I don't like how they look on me. I like more of a slouchy beanie, like the classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. This is not that. It's also too big, like I said. I knitted the large because that is what the pattern said to do, and yeah, no, it was too big. And it's too big for my dad, it's too big for my mom. I tried it on everybody, and it is too big for all of us, which is very depressing. So, it's also not long enough. Like, it doesn't come over your ears enough for it to be like warm, and that's what I want out of a hat, is for it to kind of cover my ears a little bit and it be a little slouchy. I just don't like how this makes my head look, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like it gives a weird shape. It looked really cute on all the pictures that I saw of people wearing it. I was like, that looks adorable, but just it's not. It is not for me. I knitted this up in the Blue Sky Fibers. I think it's their bulky yarn. I'm pretty sure 100% alpaca. And this is the yarn that I've talked about it in a previous podcast. I can't remember which one, but it was I had originally bought it to use for this slouchy knit beanie pattern by Knit and Crochet Ever After. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And this was a pain to work with, and it was the first time I was really doing an actual project in the round, and I was having so much trouble trying to work with this yarn. It's not a good yarn to learn techniques on, that is for sure. It is a weird, I wish I have more skeins left, but I didn't bring them up. It's like I don't know if it's single ply or if the term would be like no ply, like it's not plied, I guess. Like it's not, you know, twisted at all. It's just a single strand, and it is so thick, but it's very airy. So it's just weird, and it's hard to work with. It's hard to work with. I don't want to work with it again, but this hat just did not turn out the way that I was hoping. And I will say this though. I will say this. I love this quilted lattice pattern. I think that's what it's called. I love it. It was so much fun to do. It was like, I don't know, I love that stitch. I want to do it more. I definitely want to do it with a thinner yarn weight or a lighter yarn weight. I just think it would be so pretty and look so cool with a thinner yarn. I like that part of the hat. I don't like this garter stitch border. I'm not a fan. I kind of, because I have like a skein and a half, or a hank and a half, I suppose, left. Actually, no, I wound them into balls, so there. I have a ball and a half left of this yarn. And I was thinking I could make this hat again, but kind of modify it, like do ribbing instead of, I don't know if that would work, but I was kind of thinking doing ribbing instead of this garter, because I don't know why, I'm just not a fan of garter stitch. Like, I don't know, every time I knit something that has garter stitch in it, I'm just kind of don't really like how it looks. Don't know why. I feel like it's such a basic stitch to have such a like negative reaction to it. But I just feel like if I had ribbing down here and then maybe made the body longer and maybe made, I also don't like, I hate this, I've discovered I don't like this decreasing style on the crown because it just kind of makes it weird up here. I don't know, I don't like it. So I was thinking if I did the decreases the same way that this hat does, but like with stockinette instead of ribbing, I don't know if that would work, but I'm kind of down to try it out because I don't know what else I'm going to do with that yarn. I had originally bought it for a different pattern, didn't work for that pattern, and I found this hat that someone on Ravelry had used the same yarn for, so I decided to go for it, but I just don't like it. So I think I would go down a size and then kind of want to do some ribbing because then it would be kind of stretchy and it could have, you know, it'd be okay if it had a little bit more negative ease. I honestly want to say I might try to knit it in a small and just do the ribbing and then just make this part of the hat longer, and I feel like that could work out because I just feel like all around it is too big. It's just too big. I almost feel like it looks cuter in the viewfinder though. Like, I don't know. I feel like it looks kind of a little bit cuter. I don't like the garter brim. So I think if I made that into like a ribbed section that was a little bit longer and then did the body and had it kind of slouch and then did a different type of decreasing on the crown, I just think it could be much better. So I feel like my hair is getting really, really frizzy from continuing to try on these hats. But as far as techniques go, I've never done the quilted lattice before. Again, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I will put it on the screen if I'm totally messing up that name. But that was really, really fun. I'm glad that I got to do something like that. It's just cool. I don't know. I've just never done anything like it before. So I really like that. I would love to do that on like a sweater somehow. I also did the spit splice method of joining my two balls of yarn, which was an interesting experience. Got a lot of hair in my mouth, so I don't know if I might just use water the next time I try to do that, but it was kind of a fun thing. It didn't work the first time that I did it because I don't think I was like pressing my hands together enough to like really, you know, felt it together. But it was fun and it turned out kind of cool. So that was nice. And I didn't have any ends to weave in from where I joined the arms, so that was kind of cool. But I need to not do this next time. Like I need to try it on and really, you know, decide before I weave in my ends and cut them, because I weaved in my ends and I cut them, and then I realized that I'm going to probably end up frogging this because I'm going to need the yarn. I don't think the yarn that I have left over, I don't think I'll have enough to do what I want to do with it, so I'm going to have to frog this to get the yarn, to get more yarn back. That's better than letting this just sit around and not be used because it does not fit anybody's head. It's just, okay, I'm not going to put it back on because I'm going to have to fix my hair again. We don't have time for that, so. But yeah, I'm going to frog it instead of letting it just kind of hang out forever. Or, you know, I could I could give it away, but I just feel like nobody's gonna want it because like it's so big and it doesn't cover your ears. So I just feel like there's no point. So I'm gonna frog this, which is I feel like a good experience because I've never done that before with a completed project. So it'll be interesting to do that. So now let's go ahead and move on to whips. I actually only have one to talk about. So but I have a lot to say about that one, so let's get into it. So first thing I want to mention, I did buy this PetiteKnit project bag. I don't know, I felt like I needed it to be officially a knitter. That's stupid. I don't actually feel that way. I just wanted it. And this was the pattern that I wanted, and it was the only one that wasn't sold out, so I felt like it was synchronistic, and I went for it. Let me see if I can get what I'm trying to get out of here. So this was my whip that was in my last episode as well. This is a vanilla sock that I've been knitting. I'm using the Crazy Sock Lady vanilla sock pattern. And as you can see, this is the one that is on 9-inch circulars. I did the heel. So last time I was on the leg, I think, and I had not, oh my god, well, there goes my ball of yarn. I'll get that later. But I don't think anywhere near the heel last time. So I made some progress on this, and doing the heel, I did it on DPNs because I tried to do it on 9-inch circulars, and I was like, I don't understand how anyone could do the heel on 9-inch circulars. Like it was just no. I could not get my wrists to move that way. I was like, no, we're not gonna do that because I think I will end up injuring myself and never being able to knit again. So I did the heel on DPNs instead, and that was a whole other issue. So I would say, as far as the ones that I have tried out, I would not recommend the Knit Picks DPNs, the wooden ones, because I was using one and it splintered. Like, it got a splinter on it, and it was snagging on my yarn, and then when I tried to change it out for one of the other DPNs, I almost lost all of my stitches, and with stitches that are so tiny, I was like, oh my god, how am I ever going to get these back on the needle? But I did it. It was fine, but I do not like those DPNs, which is annoying because I bought like a whole, like, you guys, if you watch my last podcast, you know I bought a lot of them. I think that it's okay because I don't use them that often, and they were on sale, so they were really inexpensive, so, or, well, like, you know, more inexpensive than other ones that I could have gotten. So I'm like, okay that I bought them because at least I have them on hand when I need them, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them. And also the small ones were like, because they were wood, they were like bending, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna break them. So I would not recommend the like sock set, at least. I haven't tried out the other ones, so I don't know, maybe the bigger ones are better, but the sock set was like not good. I personally would not recommend it. After the experience with the heel and seeing how it turned out, I don't know if you guys can really even see, it just looks very weird. It just made me realize my tension is so tight on this that it's just not working. So I decided that I'm not going to continue this sock, but I wanted to keep it around to show you. I will be frogging this because, let me get out the other one. This is the one that I started on Magic Loop, and I will kind of try and give you guys like a side-by-side comparison. But this one is, like, you can just see the ribbing actually looks like ribbing. Kind of put them side by side here. Like, you can just tell that my tension was really off on this one, and this one is just like how it should look. I will not be trying to knit socks on a 9-inch circular. I just can't get the right tension for it, and this works so much better. It's so much easier for my hands to do, and I need it to be easy on my hands, otherwise I won't be able to knit for very long. But as you can see, I have not gotten very much done here. I think I've only done like maybe half of the cuff, so, or like less than half, so yeah. But I was trying to finish my sweater, and yeah, and then I needed to do that hat. I wanted to get it out of the way, so I didn't work on my socks. I haven't been working on my socks for a while, so that's gonna be my main focus, I think, going forward for the next week or so is to try to make some progress on those socks. But yeah, I will be frogging this one because it is just, yeah, I don't like how it's looking. The stockinette part was fine enough, but I have a feeling that when I do the stockinette on the sock and magic loop, it's gonna look a lot better. It doesn't look bad on this one, but I just feel like it's gonna look better. The other thing I want to mention is that if your sock looks more like this, and I'm saying like, ew, it doesn't look good, like if you like it, don't listen to me. Or if you're fine with it and you just love knitting on 9-inch circulars, don't listen to me. Because I saw someone else knitting a similar sock with a 9-inch circular and their ribbing did look like this, and I just don't want to come across as like, this is bad. It's just personally, I was expecting it to look more like this one, so I just couldn't kind of get past that, and I just kept looking at this and being like, this isn't how it's supposed to look, and I want it to look the other way. But if you like how your ribbing looks on a 9-inch circular, and even if you have kind of a similar issue to me, but you are fine with it and you like, then keep doing you. It's your knitting, right? It's fine. But if you're knitting, or if your ribbing looks like this on a 9-inch and you're wondering if a magic loop would fix it, I think that it would. I mean, everyone's different, but I think that it probably would fix it for you because it fixed it for me. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I was knitting this and just being like, oh my gosh, I'm not a good knitter. Like, I'm not a good knitter. I should have not tried to knit socks yet. Like, I don't have enough experience or whatever. But no, it's just that, some people are going to be able to knit on 9-inch circulars and some people just aren't, because it's just not going to be comfortable. And for me, it was not comfortable, which made my tension really tight. I was getting ladders, and this is proof that sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it is the tools that you're using, So that was my only whip. And oh, the yarn, wow, I'm horrible at this. The yarn that I used is from Knit Picks. It is their Muse fingering weight. I think it was weird. I feel like when I bought it, it just said Muse fingering. It didn't say Muse hand painted fingering, but now that's how it shows on the website. So I don't know if it's the same that they have now on the website, or if it's slightly different, but they have all the same colorways. So I don't know. I don't know if they just kind of like renamed it, but it is in the shade, in the colorway Thrill, I believe is the one that I'm currently using. I also have Poetic, which I will be knitting socks on eventually, but this does have nylon in it, so it is a good sock yarn. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into acquisitions. And I realized I did not bring up everything, but that's okay. I don't want to talk about every single, I have some yarn that I sort of rediscovered in my stash. I don't really feel like I had a yarn stash until recently. Like, I just had random like scrap yarn, and then I had a missing sweater quantities worth of yarn that I just found, but I'll save that for the next podcast because I'm not going to be starting that until later, I think, because I feel like it's more of a spring knit or summer knit, so I'll just kind of wait on it. We're going to talk about acquisitions and then future plans. So let me kind of try and get all of my stuff together. Okay, so I have some yarn. It is in plastic, so it might be kind of crinkly, so I apologize for that. But I need to preface this by saying that this is the last acrylic yarn that I will be buying, and the reason that I purchased this was because it was requested by the person I'm knitting these for. So I'm knitting another Pearl Soho classic ribbed hat, or I'm knitting several of them, but I had my dad try on the one that I made, the one that I showing you guys, and he really liked like the specific material of it, the thickness of it, everything, except he just wanted it a little bit bigger. So I did order some more of that Line brand Vanna's Choice yarn, and I knew that I was going to need at least 2 skeins to make at least an adult medium hat. However, it was actually cheaper to buy a 3-pack than to buy 2 individual skeins for some reason. So I think the individual skeins were like $11, and then the 3-pack was like $16. So it was cheaper. It was actually cheaper to buy 3 than to buy 2. So, not sure why. Maybe because they're pre-packaged, I don't know. But this one I have here is the Midnight Blue, and this is the one that I was gonna make for my dad. But I think I'm gonna have leftovers. I might be able to make 2 hats with 3. So I might make one for my dad and one for my mom, and they can be matching. But then my mom was kind of giving me that look that she gives me when she wants one of the things that I'm knitting. So when I was asking my dad what color, I could tell she's kind of giving me that look of like, am I gonna get one of these hats? And so I let her pick out a color too, and she also apparently has an affinity for this type of green. But this is, I think, the Sage colorway. Probably, again, I can probably make 2 hats, so I might just make my parents both 2 hats, and then they'll have matching colors. They can be cute, you know, they're matching hats. And then, I really should not have done this but this was before I had worn my hat for long enough to feel that it was kind of itchy, and that it didn't really, you know, I don't know, it was kind of like, eh. But I bought a set for myself as well, and I should not have, but I did, and I kind of couldn't help myself because the shade name got me, okay? So if you have read Zodiac Academy, like that series, if you were familiar, you'll understand. The colorway is Orion Blue. Orion Blue. Did you hear that? If you read Zodiac Academy, you know what I immediately thought of, and I had to get this, and it is a really, really beautiful shade. And side note, I just finished the 8th book in Zodiac Academy, and I have thoughts on it. I don't usually it's either I just enjoy reading something or I don't, kind of a thing. I don't really like to critique books, but that book was so long, and I don't know if it needed to be that long. I might have to edit out what I just said, because I realized I might have given a spoiler, so I'll probably edit it out. But I just read the 8th book in the Zodiac Academy book. I thought it was the last book. It's not. There will be a 9th one, and the 8th book was so long. I read at the end in their little author's note that it was over 380,000 words. It was a long book. It was a really long book, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I felt like it was a little too long, and that's all I'll say, but I still enjoyed it. I love the characters so much that I feel like I'll read anything from that series, even if there's not a ton happening in it, or if I feel bored. I still really enjoy the characters, but especially, I mean, that's my favorite, is Orion and Darcy. They're my favorite. So anyways, also for some reason, this is like, when they were putting this in, their yarn got caught in the plastic, so that's interesting. But anyways, again, can probably make 2 hats out of this, so I'll have to see who in my life wants the second one of that. So I will be knitting a lot of Pearl Soho classic ribbed hats. But that was kind of the thing, is that my dad really liked the material of it, like how thick it was, and I didn't want to change anything. So I was like, I'm gonna get the exact same yarn, just different colors, exact same yarn, exact same needles, so it turns out exactly how it's supposed to. I don't want to change anything. I want to control all of the variables, and that's why I did that. So we're done buying acrylic yarn. I was thinking I would buy another skein of the Oatmeal shade, because I have almost a full skein, like almost. I dipped into the second skein like just a tiny little bit, but I was like, I feel like I could make a second hat if I just had one more skein. But I don't want to buy more yarn that I don't really like to use up the one that I have. I feel like I could just find a scrap project idea to use that up eventually. So I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't buy another skein. It's not worth it. I have a couple more acquisitions that I'm really, really excited about. So I'm going to show you this one first. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have already seen these. So definitely, by the way, go follow me on Instagram if you like knitting content in your feed. And if you also post knitting content, most likely I'll follow you back, unless your account is private. I'm not going to follow that because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But anyways, if you want to follow me over there, I would appreciate having more knitting friends on Instagram. That'd be cool. So anyways, I'm down in like we're on the Oregon coast, and there's a yarn shop that I really like that's down here. And so I went in there, and I kind of have a funny story. So I had picked up some other things that I was gonna buy, and I was waiting for there was only one lady working in the shop that day. I think there's usually only one, but I think there's like two, maybe like the two owners or something that work there. So there's only one person working there, and she was kind of being bombarded with questions from another customer who I was I was trying not to be judgy, but the lady had like washed her, like she had made something that was made out of wool, and she washed and dried it, and then she was like, you know, why did this happen? And she's like asking the lady all these questions, and she's like, I don't know if I can help you, like you're not supposed to put wool in the dryer, like that's common sense. Like what definitely did not seem like it was superwash. So I was like, I feel like even I know not to do that, and I'm a beginner. So again, I'm trying not to be judgmental, but she was kind of, my mom and I were standing there, we're like, we're kind of ready to, you know, buy our stuff and leave, but we couldn't because like the lady wouldn't stop asking questions, and I just felt bad for the person working there because I think she was just kind of like, I don't know how to help you. But it was all for the best, because as I was standing there, I saw this beautiful donut of sock yarn. So this is, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but it's the Laines Denord paint sock. And I don't know, I'm realizing that the lighting has really gone away, so I apologize, but I don't know how to say this, so I'm not going to, but this is the colorway 80. And I think you're supposed to be able to make it says 2 identical socks, so I think you're supposed to be able to make 2 socks out of this amount of yarn. It has 458 yards, so I don't know if I think it will make 2 socks. I'm gonna wait until I have what is it called? A vanilla sock pattern that I really like before I use this, because I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the way that the heel flap is on the pattern that I'm knitting on right now. I kind of want to try out different types of heel techniques or whatever they're called, and then use that for this yarn, because I love it, and it's gonna be so much fun to knit this in like spring. So that's this. It's just so cute, and I was just standing there like, oh, can you guys like hurry up, because I'm trying to like pay for this stuff and get out of the store. But I saw this and I was like, well, I guess it was meant to be. So I bought this one as well. And my camera does say it's overheating, so we might have to finish this up later. But I also, yeah, I bought some Noro Kakigori yarn. I just had to. I didn't know that the shop carried Noro. I don't know if it's a new thing that they carry, but when I saw it, I got so excited. I don't think that they carried the the Silk Garden yarn that PetiteKnit suggests for the terrazzo sweater. Am I saying that right? I don't think they have that type there, but they do have Kakigori, and I have been wanting this colorway forever. I think it's like 8. Like, that's all I could gather from. This is color 8. I don't know if it has a name. If it does, I would not be able to read it on here. So I don't know what I'm gonna knit with this. I just bought 2 of them. Figured that would be enough to knit a sweater's worth, because these are really big. They have a lot of yardage on them, so I don't know what I'm gonna knit with it, but I bought them and I'm very happy. So I just love the colors. I feel like I'm just obsessed with how bright the colors are, and I want to get all the different shades. So let's really quickly wrap this up with future plans. So like, these are things that I will be casting on pretty soon. So I won't talk too much about them, but I will be starting the project that is going to be using this yarn that was in my acquisitions last podcast. This is the Knit Picks Upcycle Surrey Alpaca. It's an Aran weight yarn. This is in the shade Contuda, I think is how you say it. And I'm going to be attempting to knit the Naima sweater? The Naima pullover? I will put it on the screen. I also know that the designer I am not going to be able to pronounce. I haven't heard anyone confidently pronounce the designer name yet, so I need to hear it a few times for me to be able to say it. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, so I don't want to butcher it, but this is what I'm going to be using that for. I think with the fuzziness and kind of there's like some lace detailing on it, I think it's going to look nice. It also comes in like 3 different, there's like an A-line, a straight, and a balloon. I think I'm going to go for the balloon, and I might attempt to make it a little bit more cropped. We'll see, but I'm going to be casting on, if I feel like it today. I felt like I was losing my knitting mojo, but now that we're talking about knitting, I feel like I almost got it back, so maybe I didn't actually lose it. But I want to get the gauge swatch done. I want to block it and all of that, and make sure that that this yarn works for that sweater. It has short rows, so this will be the first time I'm going to be doing short rows, but all of the things that I want to knit have short rows is what I found. Every time I look at a pattern, I'm like, I want to do this. There they are, short rows. So I'm like, you know what, I just gotta learn how to do it, because I don't want to knit things that I don't really want just because they're easy. Like, you know, I want to learn the techniques that I need to knit the things that I actually want to wear. So, and that's going to be the next whip that I'm starting on, and my socks that I'm going to be working on. And then I don't know if I'm going to start this immediately, but since I have the yarn with me, this is something I found in my stash. It is the Lana Grossa Motivo yarn. It has been discontinued, and it's weird. It's like a ribbon, you know, like it's definitely not like a natural fiber. I don't really know what it's made out of, but it's like ribbons. It's like little chunks of random ribbons. I am pretty sure my mom bought this, and it somehow ended up, I have 2 skeins of these. It somehow ended up with me, and so I gave it back to her, but then I was thinking I could use Ravelry to find a pattern to use these for. So then I asked her if she wanted me to make her a hat with them. So I'm going to be attempting to knit the gypsum hat. Found it on Ravelry. I'll put I don't know what the designer is off the top of my head, so I'll put it on the screen. But I'm gonna knit that for her. I don't know if it's gonna look good with this yarn, so I'm gonna try knitting it up, and I'm gonna, you know, see if it looks good. And if it looks bad, I just will frog it and, I don't know, do something else. But I don't know if I'm gonna cast this on anytime soon or not, so I also might end up giving these back to my mom and just letting her crochet something with them. I mean, it is her yarn, so if she wants to do that. But I was just thinking I could knit her a hat with these, because I know she has a lot of things that she's already working on, so I don't know. But I have a lot of other upcoming things that I need to knit on, so I don't know if I will start this right now or not. And I'm having a bad time with hats. And I know I was talking about what I think I'm going to do with the rest of the yarn, and then I'm going to frog that green hat that I made. I don't know if I'm going to do that soon though or not. I feel like I need a break from it, because I don't like it. I just don't want to use it anymore. Also, I really apologize about the lighting. It is like, it's gotten so dark, but this is what we're working with. It is a very, very cloudy day outside. It's very icky out. Maybe I can open this window actually now. I don't know if that actually helped anything, but I just feel like it's blinding me a little bit, but I think it's adding a little bit of brightness. But I actually think that's everything. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. At some point I will put the sweater on and show you what it looks like. Probably not gonna do that now because I'm hungry, I wanna go eat. So that is pretty much all I have to say. I have, there's 2 knit-alongs that I'm going to be joining. I bought some yarn for them, but they're not here yet, so I'll just wait to talk about those when I actually have the yarn. So that'll be a next podcast. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and if you have commented, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you interacting with me. That's kind of why I want to do these videos, is to like be able to talk to other crafters. So thank you. If you are enjoying my content, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe before you go as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic time with your crafting, whether it's knitting, crocheting, sewing, whatever it is. I hope you're having an amazing time with it. Let me know what you're working on down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you do also want to follow me over on Instagram, I would love to connect with you there as well. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next podcast. Bye.
Alright, this is a song that I wrote about falling too fast, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't wanna lose my grounding, so you catch me not responding. And I press my lips together so you don't find any answer.